Ultimate MK Podquest.
Whoa, my mic levels are out of fucking control. Hang on. I'm just gonna
tweak some knobs, do what you gotta do.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, because like if I got a little excitable, which is liable to happen on this particular program, I was shooting up to like -4 decibels.
Okay.
Simply too loud, peaking. Also, Neil, I would love to start off this episode with an announcement.
Sure, let's hear it.
Happy Static Electricity Day.
Happy Static Electricity Day, mortals.
Big day for Nikola Tesla and
huge.
The guy who stole all of his ideas.
This is the first time that hasn't been a clickable thing, I think.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that's real. So what I'm going to do real fast is Google Static Electricity Day, January 9th.
Sure.
National Static Electricity Day. What is this? Who did this?
A day to honor this unexpected, mostly unpleasant, and sometimes hair-raising phenomenon.
Unexpected? What does that mean?
I don't think...
What? What do you mean?
Do you just walk around like your daily life expecting static electricity?
Oh, I thought it meant like conceptually humans were surprised to discover that static electricity was real. And I was like,
bet they were.
But like, wouldn't that just be everything? Like, wouldn't that not even be a descriptor at that point?
I mean, it's called static because the charge stays on the surface until it comes into contact with another surface with a negative charge. Maybe everybody was just positively charged back in the day.
The vibes were great.
How to celebrate?
How to celebrate? Please.
Learn more about what causes static electricity. Conduct experiments with the kids in your life to show them the causes and effects of static electricity. And
why is it phrased as the kids in your life?
And learn how to avoid static during the winter months. Is there a danger? Is there a static electricity danger during the winter months specifically? Or is it just stronger?
You got more layers on. Maybe there's more chances for stuff to rub together.
That's true. I guess a lot of wool, right? A lot of wool.
Yeah, that could be it. I have another question for you, too.
Sure.
Why do they call it oven when you oven the cold food? Hot, eat the food. We're back. We're back, baby.
Now I have a question for you. Did you know that lightning is a natural example of when sparks are discharged due to the buildup of static electricity?
Did you know that lightning comes from the ground?
Raiden is god of static electricity. This is his day.
Holy, happy birthday to Raiden. I didn't get you anything.
Yeah.
I got you a podcast. I'm sorry. Most people get those for free.
I got you this rug that you can rub your feet along to charge up. I don't know. I got not a lot of static electricity jokes I can think of.
No, and I gotta say that's shocking. Thank you. So, if people are wondering why are these guys just sort of yelling jokes back at each other, trying to get up to speed, well, between you and me, it's been a while, so we're just kind of gearing up. Jerry getting ready to go hit the streets.
It is January 9th right now as we record this. This won't be out for a while, like 2 weeks roughly. This is the first thing we've recorded in the new year.
Yeah, and also we haven't recorded since the 26th.
Sure. Happy New Year, everybody. Super late. Happy February. Might even be fucking February by the time this comes out.
I think 2024 is going to be a really exciting year.
Yeah, man, we have lost a step, haven't we?
I don't think so. I think we're fine.
Corey, how was your New Year? Was it good? Was it rad?
Like my New Year's the day?
Yeah, just in general.
Like, I don't know if you know what's going on in the world.
What's up? Something's up?
But if you don't, let's just say socializing is not exactly how do you say it? A thing right now. In fact, the place where I live is essentially in a lockdown again.
Holy moly.
So, yeah, not exactly the most thrilling beginning of the year. Granted, you live in Florida, where I think if you say that word, you're legally allowed to be shot. So,
yeah, more or less. Sure. Yeah, it's just Wild West. Wild West.
more
down
or
here.
less, more like moralless.
Oh.
Is that anything?
You're on fire, dude.
Pew, 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 pew.
Pew, 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 pew,
I've been
pew.
thinking about Ape Escape a lot lately.
Well, I got to turn that knob down a little.
Maybe I've just got those good positive Ape Escape vibes. You ever play Ape Escape?
No, but I remember the
Bro,
ads
what?
in Game Pro magazine.
Are you kidding me, dude?
Ape Escape was not on the Sega Saturn.
Okay, can I? Okay,
That's the game where the apes escape, right?
It's the very same one.
Okay, see, I know my shit.
Can you do me a favor and
Yes.
play that? Any of them? There's only 3.
Escape.
Maybe start with 2. Maybe hit in the middle.
I wrote Sape Escape.
Sapien Escape. Close
This
enough.
motherfucker's $60 on eBay.
Well, you should have been there on time.
Greatest hits, $50. Nah. Is it that good? It's about apes who escape. What do you do? What's the gameplay like?
Wait. If you have a console newer than like the Dreamcast, you should be able to like eShop it if that console is run by Sony.
Well, I have a PlayStation 3.
Yeah, you could probably buy it on there.
Yeah, but I gotta dust that fucker off.
I played it on PS4 most recently, so.
Okay.
And I haven't turned my PS4 on in like 2.5 years, easy. So.
I am PS4 less.
Anyway, I think everybody should play Ape Escape. That's all.
I've been playing the original Final Fantasy.
The one about like the elements.
What? The Elements? No, the Nintendo one, the NES one.
Yeah, isn't that, don't you have to do something about like the elements in that game? I guess not. Evidently.
No, I mean, it doesn't seem to be factoring heavily into the plot. It's mostly about getting crystals.
Yeah, but aren't those crystals based on? Am I wrong? Aren't those
You might. I don't know what the crystals are called.
Final Fantasy 1 plot? Hang on.
I'm like 4 hours in. I haven't even gotten a crystal yet.
They're called the Light Warriors.
Yeah, the Warriors of Light, the Heroes of Light, whatever.
4 elemental crystals. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Spoilers for
Dude, don't fucking ruin it for me. Jesus.
That's not ruining it for you.
Why don't you go ahead and spoil what happens at the end of Disc 1 of Final Fantasy VII while you're at it?
Also, that's a 35-year-old video game. I mean,
Yes.
I don't know what you want me to do.
1 year younger than I am.
Oh, I'm pretty sure at the end of Disc 1 of Final Fantasy VII, Cloud dyes his hair black and gets really into pop punk.
Changes his name to Zach.
Oh, wait, I accidentally made a real Final Fantasy joke. I wasn't even trying to. Spoilers for, I don't know, Disc 3 of that game? I don't fucking know. Nobody
Who
knows.
fucking knows?
Spoilers for Final Fantasy Tactics, maybe?
Spoilers for some shit that I don't think has happened in the remake yet.
Dirge of Cerberus?
That's the goth one, right? That's the one about Vincent.
Maybe. It might be.
I have played original Final Fantasy before. I don't fucking remember anything about it. It was like 15 years ago. So I'm playing it again and having the time of my life.
Yeah, video games are good, man.
Like, I sat down, I was like, I'm going to fuck around with this for a little bit. This might be fun. Just grind, whatever. Fucking 4 hours later, I was like, oh, I have a podcast to do.
Yeah, that's the downside of doing this podcast, listener. You're at home, right? Probably. Maybe you're in your car or something. I don't really know.
Yeah.
You're listening to this and you're having a great time. You're hooting and hollering and you're laughing so hard you're swerving across the lanes of traffic, but it's 3 a.m. You work real early. Nobody's out.
Yeah, it's fine.
So it doesn't really matter if you're swerving across lanes of traffic, slapping your knees, accidentally shifting your car into third gear while you're driving because you drive a stick shift because you're pretty cool. And you get to enjoy all the road danger that comes with this podcast while we have to sit here and actually make the thing.
Yeah, man.
That's all I'm saying.
Zero sugar cherry Coca-Cola energy in your cup holder.
Loose, not even in a cup. You just put a straw straight in that cup holder.
Just poured it in. Just poured it in. Got shit, like pennies and shit floating in the bottom.
I'm sure. Okay, I just had the most cursed image come to my mind.
Was it that? Because that's
No, it's a drive-through that is just the drink station of a fast food restaurant, and they all have big plastic tubes on them. And you're supposed to just pull it into your car and stick it into the what would more accurately be called a drink holder, and you just hold the button down, and it just dumps that Baja Blast straight into your Ford F-150.
fill your entire console with it. Just
You're driving a Hellcat and you're drinking Diet Dr. Pepper.
That's the second Hellcat joke you've made on the podcast.
Yeah, because I think Hellcat's a pretty cool term.
It is. It's a good term. I wonder how much of this is going to make it into the finished episode.
The censored version would be heck pussy. Okay, cool, man. What are we talking about? What are we doing?
Yeah, you want to talk about some Mortal Kombat shit now?
I guess. on this static electricity day.
No way to transition out of heck pussy.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. That's what the people pay us for.
What are we talking about, Corey? I am not keeping track of these episode numbers. I want to say...
Oh, God. Wouldn't it be 8 and 9? Isn't there 10 of them?
7 and 8.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it'd be 7 and 8 because we got 9 and 10 coming next. Mortal Kombat Legacy II. Episode 7 and 8. Scorpion and Sub-Zero form a truce, and Scorpion and Sub-Zero battle.
They do.
Do you want to just go right into the Corey corner?
Yeah. Welcome to the Corey corner. So this is an interesting test, and I'll tell you why. I watched these very recently, but the second you said, hey, do you want to go to the Corey corner? The most real panic I've ever felt in my life settled over me for some reason, as if I was going to forget what happened. I don't know if that's going to happen, but... Yeah.
It just poured out of your ears right into your drink holder.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, my headphones are a type of a drink holder, if you think about it.
It's got liquefied Mortal Kombat Legacy swishing around in there.
Oh, finally, you can just drink this shit. Cut to feudal Japan.
Hell yeah. We've been there before a couple times.
We have. I am 70% sure that in Mortal Kombat Legacy 1, they told us what year it was. So I don't know why. Wasn't it like 1169 or something?
1169. Hell yeah, that was the Kenshi episode. 1199. I don't think they gave us a date for the first Scorpion and Sub-Zero.
Oh no, you're right. No, you're right. I'm getting my wires crossed already. That's a static electricity joke for you. I actually don't think that's true, but
keep them coming on this static electricity day.
It's true.
Never forget.
Cut to I was about to call it a cornfield.
Static electricity can't melt steel beams.
It can't. So we're in a big field.
Yeah.
And there's a boy in the field, and he is stealthing around with like a play sword. Being real careful, and he hears a noise, and he's like, "Ah, shit, I heard a noise." And that noise was another boy, and they start going at it with these swords and arguing about who won or lost this hide and seek contest. Because he's like, I heard you first, and then the other dude is like, yeah, but I fucking hit you with the sword, idiot. Figure it out. We discover that
classic kid antics.
This is Hanzo Hisashi on the one side in the tan, doing visual bits on the podcast, and I want to make sure I say it right. And Baihan, not Bihan.
Yeah,
Baihan, and that. I know what you're thinking. You're sitting at home. You're driving across 4 lanes of traffic in your car, and you're saying, "Those guys shouldn't be friends."
Right?
Don't worry. They're like 10 years old, and all the parents show up. All the local men arrive. Representatives from the Lin Kuei and the Shirai Ryu arrive, and they're like, "Hey, I thought I told you to stop playing with that fucking kid." And they go their separate ways. And Baihan is doing that classic thing that kids do, which is just asking why over and over and over as to why he cannot be friends with Hanzo, and he's just told that's just the way it is.
Did you mention while they were fucking around with their toy swords, a little brother shows up?
Oh yeah, I know I didn't mention that, but yeah.
The little brother by the name of Kwai Lang.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so
And
they go there.
Fucking hate him. He's so goddamn annoying. Classic little brother.
They go their separate ways, and cut to feudal Japan still, but later.
Like 20 years later.
Like 20 years later.
Yep.
I know how we know that. It tells us.
Because it tells us. It tells us that.
Hanzo, as we have seen him before on Mortal Kombat Legacy 1, long hair, yellow and black getup, is out for a walk with his family on what he says are neutral grounds. This does imply an interesting bit of geography, which is that these clans share such proximal space to each other that neutral ground has to be announced, which, given video game canon, would not really be the case because they are in separate countries.
Yes.
Which I'm sure you're going to get to. But Hanzo's going down the street, hanging out, and he is stopped in the road because his son Jubei had run away and gets stopped by the Lin Kuei. And, they're standing off in the street. So he's talking to, it's Kwai Lang and the boys, and they're vibing. And they just sort of have a bit of a weird standoff where he's like, I'm going to prove to you that I'm cool. And Hanzo's like, I don't care if you're cool. Just, I'm walking with my family. Please go away. And they get in a fight off screen.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds pretty cool. And then cut to the fields that we were in earlier, but they're older now.
Classic fields. Yeah.
And Hanzo and the boys and Baihan and some boys meet in this childhood field where friendships were formed and broken by the burden of intergenerational warfare. And they're like, what if we just stopped doing that?
Yeah.
And so there is a truce between the Shirai Ryu and the Lin Kuei. No more violence.
No more bloodshed.
No more nothing. What if I told you the next episode featured some violence and bloodshed? Would you believe me?
No fucking way. They just made a truce, dude.
I know, but
they were gonna have like weekly game nights, rec league softball games.
Yeah, they were gonna put on a production of Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore.
Yeah, that's the end of the first episode.
Yeah. I thought I was doing both though. Am I doing both?
Yeah. Yeah, you are.
Yeah. This starts with Baihan being woken up, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
sure.
got that one down to a science. Got that one locked in. And he's like, bro, I'm sleeping. What the fuck? And they're like, sorry, some shit is afoot. And this is when Baihan is told that members of the Lin Kuei have gone to Hanzo's village, slaughtered his family and him and his entire clan.
Yeah.
And he's not happy on account of that truce we just talked about. And he is going to execute some fools for being some treacherous fools. But first, a mystical man appears and says, hold the phone.
Hold up.
What if I told you some mysticism was afoot, actually?
No fucking way.
Because the guys in the Lin Kuei are trying to be like, yo, we straight up did not do anything. And the Baihan is like, fuck you. And then and then
just like that.
Yeah, just like that. And then this man shows up. I did not catch his name. And
he didn't have one. I couldn't even find him in the credits.
He says his name at one point. Baihan says something that I assumed was his name, but I did not write it down.
Sure.
Anyway, so there's the mysticism man is here, and he's like, what if I told you some shit was afoot? What if I told you Shang Tsung was involved? And flashback. So we flashback to all the stuff that we saw with Quan Chi and Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat Legacy Season 1.
Mm-hmm.
What happened, essentially. We're caught up on what happened.
Yep.
Baihan sees what happened through a vision provided by the Oni. And then cut to Baihan got a bunch of BMX pads for Christmas,
Yeah, we're on Fight Island now.
and he's walking in a field, a suspiciously similar looking field.
Yeah.
That's theming, baby. And Scorpion is like, we see Scorpion meditating. He's like, I'm gonna fucking kill some dudes so fucking hard. And then he sees Baihan, and Baihan's like, I didn't do anything. And he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you so fucking hard. And they fight, and he rips Baihan's head and spine clean off of his body.
Fatality. Right?
Yeah.
Fatality. That's how they end every episode. Fatality.
Well, they end every episode with "Get over here,"
Get
and
over
then
here.
the
Bing,
worst
bom,
song
bing,
you've
bom,
ever
bing,
heard.
bom,
plays.
bing, bom, bing, bom, bing. That's it. That's what happens in this episode.
C'est tout. That's French for "that's all."
Say two, folks.
I think it is anyway. I don't know. My French isn't very good.
What is French for folks?
Oh fuck, I don't know.
Just fuck it. Let's just go. You want to go over to the Neil Nook?
Yeah, while you do that, I'm gonna think really hard and remember that word that you asked me.
All right. Well,
Oh,
also
is
I'm
that?
gonna
That's not the word I would have used, but okay. I would have been wrong.
by think really hard. Did you mean Google it?
No, I studied French for like 15 years.
Jesus.
I know all kinds of words.
Fromage.
Les gens,
Poulet.
which is not what the word I thought it was. Les gens. Weird.
So say the whole thing.
What whole thing?
That's all, folks, in French.
Yeah, but that might have some weird like grammar conjugation I don't know how to do.
All right, fuck it. Let's just go over to the Neil Nook now.
Oh no, it was just say to les gens. Oh my god, I'm embarrassed.
It's Gucci.
I knew it the whole time. I think
I
you
believed
should,
in
I
you.
think you should keep that in of me embarrassing myself over the sound.
Yeah, whatever.
Anyway, I knew all of what I was being asked, and I didn't trust myself, and I went to Google and made myself look like a fool.
If you had used Bing, Bing would have just said, "You got this, buddy."
Bing bong. That's a doorbell.
Bing bong, bing. But that's the ending song to Legacy 2. Get over here, bing bong, bing bong.
I think that every episode they should do a different national anthem.
Yes.
Except all of them are the Soviet national anthem because that's a lot of countries.
We've got Ian Anthony Dale back as Scorpion. Still very, very into his casting as Scorpion. I still think he's kicking ass. He was Scorpion, obviously, in season 1 and in Rebirth. Go back to listen to those episodes to hear all about Ian Anthony Dale. Eric Steinberg is here as Baihan. He was the voice of Lord Shimura in Ghost of Tsushima. He was in an episode of Terminator, The Sarah Connor Chronicles. Corey, he was also in an episode of Conan the Adventurer.
Interesting.
He played a man named Paul Kim in an episode of Pacific Blue. We have not had a Pacific Blue in a while.
We haven't. That's like seeing Bigfoot.
He played a character named Prince Jordan in an episode of VIP. Haven't had one of those in a while either.
That's like seeing Smallfoot.
He was in Star Trek First Contact, Star Trek Voyager, Torchwood, Pretty Little Liars, been in just a ton of stuff. And we've got Harry Shum Jr. as Kwai Lang. He played Mike Chang and Joe Hart in Glee. He has like 90 episodes of Glee under his belt. He was in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Sword of Destiny, that Netflix movie.
Is there a Netflix movie?
Yeah,
Oh.
the second Crouching Tiger movie. He was in Step Up to the Streets. That's the number 2, of course.
Trust me, don't I know it?
And he was Charlie Wu in Crazy Rich Asians. And that's it.
So a lot of people that really get around.
Yeah, these are...
Wait, did we not know who played the kids?
I could not find... I genuinely could not find. So not everybody is listed on IMDb. So the reason... Harry Shum Jr. was not listed on IMDb for this episode, but I watched the episode credits and his name came up and I Googled him and he was listed and he was credited under his profile on IMDb, etc. I did not see any names that referenced the kids in general.
That's odd.
There is, I guess, actually, we do have a new Jubei or a Nubei. God damn it.
I thought you were gonna rim shot yourself, but
I just got really upset at myself for...
I mean, yeah, but I only left dead air so you could gas up your own bit, and then nothing happened at all.
I can drop it in post.
Just a sad one because we're still discussing why it didn't work.
There we go. I'll make those sad trombones work. Our new Jubei was played by Jace Izuno. He was in Mortal Kombat Legacy as Jubei. Yeah, Jace Izuno plays Jubei in this, and I believe it's a different actor than the first season. I guess I'm not 100% sure because they're so bad with credits on IMDb for both of these seasons.
Well, and also, if the episode itself didn't credit every actor, that seems kind of fucked up.
Yeah, I don't know what that's all about. I have a suspicion that maybe, like, the reason the credit scenes are so long is because maybe they were, like, you know, like we talked about last time we recorded, we found out that this whole thing was dropped on YouTube all at once, every single episode. Right. I do kind of wonder if they intended it to just be one continuous thing and then chopped it up into episodes for whatever reason, and then credits just got weird, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not completely convinced they knew what the fuck they were doing with any of the distribution for this thing.
I don't think they did.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that for free.
But let's talk about the content, that good content. This is the second time we visited the history of Scorpion and Sub-Zero in the Mortal Kombat Legacy world. How do you think this stacks up to that first two-parter?
I think it stacks up well. I do think I like the Mortal Kombat Legacy Season 1 more. But I really do think that, and this is so funny because it runs counter to literally everything else Kevin Tancherone is doing, but he's so much better at this.
He's really into this storyline for sure, right?
But what I mean too is like this is like historically set. It's sparse. It's straightforward. It's not really trying to do anything too crazy, and he feels much more at home in making that like look and feel good, but he seems to want to make a big complicated new take on a thing, so it's frustrating in a way to see it and be like, that's pretty good, and then know that the rest of the show isn't that.
yeah I can agree with that. I don't like this as much as the first two-parter also. I think that there were some weird and ultimately unnecessary things that happened in this.
Yeah.
But it is giving us like a for real, very different twist on the Scorpion Sub-Zero like history and everything. It's not just repeating what we've already seen. It is very much a remix of stuff we're familiar with, and I think that it's mostly successful in that. But I also don't know how necessary it was. You know,
I don't think it was necessary at all, but that's not necessarily bad. I think what it comes down to for me is in a general sense, I don't know why once again it's trying to do so much, because it feels like it could not possibly have less to do with everything else that we've watched up to this point.
Right.
And so I don't really get like what we're doing or why we're here, because I know it's not meant to work like a straightforward narrative like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right.
But it's closer to that than the previous season was. And yet it feels like it has set something up earlier on that it has absolutely no interest in doing at all, which is Fight Island. And so there's like occasional gestures back to that, and every other thing that we've seen up to this point does not have anything to do with it. And again, a broken record with the format frustration, but I don't understand why the show is set up this way, because it's inherently hurting the positive qualities of what is being set up here.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, why did I have to watch 6 other episodes of other characters doing random shit if I wanted to see this part? Or alternatively, put this at the beginning as part of your context setting when you're also establishing Kung Lao and Liu Kang, and then do something in the middle that is establishing the Fight Island and how the rest of the folks get there. And then when you're doing like Ermac Kenshi stuff, bring these two back together then. I don't know why it has to be siloed off.
Yeah, and having this sort of overarching like like, you know, we saw it a little bit with we saw the Katana Molina episodes kind of blend right into the end of the Ermac and Kenshi episode, the fight on Fight Island. So there was like an attempt at least at connecting what's happening on the island, like connecting the characters that way. This didn't have any of that. Like, we didn't catch up. We didn't have like Scorpion or Sub-Zero witnessing the end of either of those fights, right?
Yeah.
They're just off on their own corner of the island doing this shit.
Yeah, and honestly, that frustrates me a lot. Like, maybe more than it should. I'm not like angry. Like, I don't want to sound too overly dramatic, but I don't understand it.
Right.
You know? I just don't.
So one thing that I was thinking about is this came out when Mortal Kombat 9 was coming out, right? And then Mortal Kombat 10, and particularly the comic series, established like a connection between Kenshi and Hanzo in particular, right?
Okay.
So I was expecting some kind of a connection between Kenshi and maybe the Shirai Ryu and the Lin Kuei, especially because they gave us Kenshi's origin story happening in feudal Japan also.
Yeah,
and they
which is probably why I mistakenly just tied them together in the first place, because we've been here already.
It makes sense that they would be tied together. I think that it would have been cool to somehow have those encounters tie together on Fight Island, right? But it didn't happen. In hindsight, you know, we've made connections, right? We made a connection between Stryker and Johnny Cage at the beginning, and then Johnny Cage.
Yeah,
and
remember
Kitana.
Stryker? Why is he here?
Stryker's going to show up in the finale.
Oh, good.
It's literally my only Neil Nook is talking about that guy. But yeah, it just felt like a missed opportunity to sew like an actual plot together instead of giving us a bunch of these. Like, they're just back to giving us these sort of individual character vignettes and histories.
Yeah, and I don't understand why.
But in half the time, because then they also need to spend one episode or part of an episode showing them fight somebody on the island, right?
Yeah, well, and have to is an interesting phrase there, because it's like, that's only true by virtue of deciding to set it up this way.
Right.
Like, they've backed themselves into a corner they can't do anything to get out of without, like, foundationally rethinking what they're doing here.
Yeah.
And, like, that's obviously not super feasible. But, yeah, well, because what's frustrating about it is, like, on its own, it's like a perfectly interesting take and sort of rundown, essentially. Like, this is going to sound like more backhanded of a compliment than it is, but this would serve great if you put it in some kind of, like, collection of Mortal Kombat games, and you wanted to establish what the relationship between these characters are and, like, an interesting kind of way to catch people up. This would serve well for that. I know the take on it isn't 100% canon, but also, like, let's be honest, who cares? You get the point I'm making.
You do whatever you want.
Yeah, and I think, like, the setup and execution of the story at hand in part 1 and, like, the beginning of part 2 is fine. I just don't know why this is the forum for it. I don't know why it's part of this particular show in this particular way.
And I'm going to be honest, the tournament, the free-for-all on the island tournament just feels shoehorned in.
It's such a non-factor, I never think about it. To the point where I did not realize we were on Fight Island right away, because I thought the location looked similar enough to that field that I assumed that's where we were.
Right.
Like it was just poetic, you know, like.
Yeah. But no, that was Fight Island.
Yeah.
I'm going to say something maybe controversial, because you hear a lot of people complain. People particularly complained about the new Mortal Kombat movie not having a tournament in it. Right?
Yeah, a lot of people were like, "Oh, why is it called Mortal Kombat if the Mortal Kombat tournament's not in
it?" Dave Schilling. But
did he actually say that?
Yeah, he did.
I don't remember that. Because I did a voice and then he said a real person's name, and I was like, "Oh, did I do something here by accident? I wasn't trying to."
No, you're whatever. We're leaving it in. But like, okay, so I don't think the fucking Mortal Kombat tournament is that. Sorry, it's not that fucking important to Mortal Kombat, right? Like,
it's foundationally not. Anybody who thinks it is honestly kind of just like anybody who is a dedicated fan of Mortal Kombat. I would like to put a caveat on that, actually, because if you just sort of like check out the games once every 8 years and don't really know what's going on, perfectly reasonable assumption to make. But if you're like, if you're listening to this show, if you're like deep in it and you really think the tournament's important, you gotta like reevaluate your life choices, man. Like
Right.
it is a entry point. It is not the focus. It is step one of a process.
Yeah. So like fucking Mortal Kombat Conquest, right? We see a tournament in the first episode, and then we see a tournament in the Shang Tsung like origin story episode,
Yep.
the Master, right? That's it. Mortal Kombat movie has a tournament. This Mortal Kombat Annihilation, no fucking tournament. Defenders of the Realm, not a goddamn tournament in that whole thing.
Not a tournament in sight.
No tournament in sight.
Just people living in the moment.
Yeah. 11 main series fighting games, right? Mortal Kombat 1 through 11. There's a tournament in Mortal Kombat 1 and 2. And then in Mortal Kombat 9, which was just the tournament from 1 and 2 over again, right? The tournament, and I guess some people could argue that there's a tournament in Armageddon, but nah, it's not really. Everyone's just trying to get to the top of that pyramid. It's not like organized. You see the same tournament in the beginning of of Shaolin Monks. It's the Mortal Kombat 1 tournament into the Mortal Kombat 2 tournament.
Like what
That's
Mortal
it.
Kombat means as a title is that one.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean like this is all about a constant cycle of Mortal Kombat tournaments. It means
Right.
Mortal Kombat as a concept kicked off something profound.
Yes. And then the fucking Legends movies, Scorpion's Revenge and Battle of the Realms. Guess what we saw in those? The fucking Mortal Kombat 1 tournament and the Mortal Kombat 2 tournament. Like those are the only ones that exist.
I will say
Like,
it's funny that these legacy episodes exist and we have that Mortal Kombat Legends movie. It's like, guys, we get it. guys, please.
So this would have been served better, I think, just drop in the whole fucking tournament idea, especially because the way it's presented is just like a free-for-all where people who have like histories with each other are fighting
there's
each other.
no reasons the fights even need to be in like
Yeah.
geographical proximity to each other.
Like these brackets were like arranged by who has a grudge with who. You know? It's just unnecessary. They could have. I mean, I think that honestly, probably I would have enjoyed this better if what we had seen instead was outside of a specific island tournament setting where everybody has arcana.
Yeah, dude just hunted him down. Was just like, I'm Scorpion. I'm gonna fucking figure it out.
Scorpion finally hunting down Baihan and whatever else. Like
And
that.
also a little bit more time for like an attempt at a discussion because Baihan has just recently sort of been set up to understand what's happening in the first place. So he's caught out, obviously. Like,
But we'll presume Baihan hasn't encountered Scorpion in hundreds of years at this point.
yeah, it's really odd because like, so if that initial encounter happened so closely to their truce and then their confrontation is happening now, but Baihan is explaining it like he just was told.
Right.
Like he's trying to convince Scorpion that he didn't do it in a way that would imply to me that he just found out what happened. Like, because it's got
Sure.
like a bit of a hectic tone, like a frenetic, like, hey man, hold on. Like this is somebody who has just realized that somebody has a problem with him for a reason that's not true. And I don't understand how that would happen so far apart. I don't want to be like a logic pedant, but like
Right.
it just undermines the better things being done here. That's all.
Yeah. Also, let's nail down this timeline a little bit. The feudal era of Japan started in 1185. So that's what, 14 years before the Kenshi episode, right?
Yeah.
And lasted for 800 years. 1868.
You are making a great point about how just saying feudal Japan is maybe the most useless clarification of when we are that you could possibly
Right.
use without giving a year.
And they did not plant a time for the Baihan Scorpion, the Baihan Hanzo stuff. They didn't give us one. It was just feudal Japan, right?
Yeah.
So I guess it is entirely possible that they never encountered Kenshi, but that means that, I mean, we know Kenshi's fucking ancient. We figured, we did the math on that episode. But 1868 is when the feudal era ended. It's been at least like 140 years, right? That Baihan has known the truth. And you want me to believe that Baihan and Hanzo haven't encountered each other in 140 years, or that there wasn't like they weren't present at a Mortal Kombat tournament in any of these other times, because it's
Or
established
it just took Scorpion that long to find him. Like, That just, I don't know.
But it was established in that first Scorpion Sub-Zero episode, two-parter, that Scorpion's now fighting for NetherRealm, right? / Outworld, right?
Yeah.
And it's established in this one that back in feudal time, so at least 160 years prior to this or whatever, or 140 years prior to this, Baihan was fighting for Earthrealm. And then we know that a Mortal Kombat tournament happened 10 years before this one with Liu Kang. It just doesn't make sense to me that this is the first time they're meeting up since this event happened. That's just me being pedantic. I don't know.
No, but like it's worth it when look, like the people watching this show are people that care about the kind of clarifications that we're making.
Right.
At a certain point, it's not pedantry, and it's just what you have to expect from a fandom that would behave like this one. And that maybe sounds a little bit more negative than I'm intending it to, but the bottom line is that it's things that people care about, maybe some too much, and it's relevant whether it's a fair assessment of if things about how the show are made is good, where if that logic doesn't track, it's going to grate at people.
Right. And I'm literally the one sitting here saying, like, the fact that they put this Fight Island tournament thing in this is ruining that storyline, because now I have to buy that over 140 years of both of them being involved in Mortal Kombat tournaments, they have not come face to face since then. Yeah, it's just, you know.
Yeah, whereas what I will say is that what I do like is, once again, adult Hanzo, bulletproof casting on that guy. I really like him.
Sick as hell. Excellent.
Yeah, and I do like the sort of montage of encounters of like rising and falling tension between the clans and these people in particular who were like childhood friends who were not allowed to be, you know, little Romeo and Juliet adjacent action.
Couldn't go over to each other's house to play Ape Escape after school.
Yeah, and like I like that. I like what it's doing. I prefer the look of the more historically focused setting to anything that this show ever tries to do in some kind of near future. And the actors I'm enjoying it. It looks fine. Like if it were more of that, like if it were just like a historically set show, I could easily buy in and just like plow through watching it and really enjoy myself. But then it keeps like getting in the way of itself, and for the millionth time, it's not long enough to really pick up the momentum that the story could use to sort of give urgency and pace to the fact that these things are occurring over various chunks of time. Yeah, so like even though like I see what's the actor's name again? Could you remind me? For Hanzo?
Ian Anthony Dale.
Yeah, so like I see Ian Anthony Dale and I'm like, oh, this is great. Like I could watch this dude do this forever. But then I keep getting like, it's like trying to run hurdles, but you don't know what jumping is. So you keep just running into these things. It's like, why is this barrier here? Oh, okay. I guess I'm just going to keep going. Oh, this stretch without the hurdles is pretty good. Oh, I've hit the hurdle again.
Ouch, dude.
Well, you're making it sound meaner than I meant to. I just needed a funny visual.
It's good. Yeah, I'm going to be honest, though. I don't know that I was super duper crazy about the idea that Baihan and Hanzo were like childhood friends. There was a lot of weirdness in that. Like, we talked about this last time, transplanting the Lin Kuei to Japan to make them a Japanese rival assassin gang, right?
Yeah.
It's I don't know. There's cultural stuff there that's probably not super cool, but I don't know how
we're not the
sensitive,
people to speak to that. So.
And I don't know how culturally sensitive the depiction of the Lin Kuei and the Shirai Ryu as, you know, clans in the first place actually is. Like, it all feels very fictional and Hollywood, like from the get-go. But just the very fact that like they're like, oh no, turns out Baihan and Hanzo were buddies as children, it feels a little like I see what they're going for, to where then when Hanzo experiences this betrayal, right? And he thinks it's this person he has known his whole life, and he thinks it's this person that he's made peace with is the one who ordered this attack and tried to kill him and killed his family and everything. It would push him over the edge so far that he would go evil to get revenge, right?
Yeah.
But I also think that just having your rival ninja clan murder your entire village and family would be enough motivation. This just feels like an extra wrinkle that maybe wasn't needed for Hanzo's transformation.
Yeah, I think if you wanted to do the childhood friends thing, which I don't hate in concept at all, and I like how it's illustrated here, like it's a refreshing image because it's not something we see a lot in Mortal Kombat of like kids fucking around and like
Right.
playing games and shit. And I appreciated seeing like a different side to what, you know, these characters ultimately are. But I agree that I think to make it work the best, you have to foundationally also change where their frustrations are with each other, like what the tension point is. I don't think can be the same. And it being the same does feel like it's stifling the forward creative momentum of that idea by not letting it branch out into being something new.
It seems like they were doing it like so. Like, let's talk about the big bait and switch. The big remixed element here that they did was kind of reversing the roles of Baihan and Kwai Lang, right? In modern games canon, like we do know, of course. I mean, we just saw it in Battle of the Realms not too long ago. Kwai Lang, Baihan's younger brother, also an ice ninja, wants to get revenge on Scorpion, but is kind of like once he learns the truth, is sort of accepting of the truth, right? Especially after the retcon that it wasn't ever actually Baihan that killed Scorpion. It was Quan Chi all along, or that Quan Chi, at least, I guess in old canon, Quan Chi is the one who like manipulated the events to make it happen, right?
Yeah.
And then Kwai Lang is he just sort of becomes a good boy, right? They become buddies, they become friends. He's an ally to Earthrealm in Mortal Kombat 2 and on, right? Like we see that a lot in the modern games. He's not a snotty, shitty person who's going to like threaten the child of his clan's rival and feels like he has something to prove the way he was depicted in this. And Baihan is the one who was like, his heart was so evil he could go into the nether realm and not be affected, right? Like that was the canon reason why he could go into the nether realm in mythologies.
Right.
Yeah. But in this, he's really painted as like this honorable warrior, right? Who respects his friendship and respects peace treaties and wants to end the bloodshed and all that kind of stuff. So it is a very interesting remix of the brothers Sub-Zero. And I'm kind of into that. And it does seem like the way like they established that was just by making Baihan and Hanzo childhood friends, right? So then when Baihan is framed for the murder of the Lin Kuei or of the Shirai Ryu and everything, he's mad about it, right? He can't believe it. He's like, I fucking promised my boy we wouldn't do this, and then you guys went and did this, and like,
look at how they massacred my boy.
So it turns him into kind of like the sympathetic. They've been playing back and forth because like I think the first two-parter really sets Hanzo up as a sympathetic, like somebody you can empathize with and care about. Yeah, and you can see like why he turned evil, and then in this one they're really, really trying to get you to sympathize with Baihan.
I guess the problem is Baihan didn't do anything, so like,
right,
it wants to frame it as though you should be sympathetic because he's
innocent.
Well, it's that, but it also is trying to frame it as though like, as if he's learned something and is trying to like impart that like, not only did he not do this, but like he is better now than then or something. But
yeah,
in establishing a truce that has already been kind of set, it just gets kind of weird. Like you don't have to do a lot of heavy lifting to feel bad for Baihan here, and yet they're doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
I do think that there was something interesting in the opening scene when they were kids, when Hanzo was talking to, I assume, his daddy. And he's like, just asking him like, why can't I be friends with him? Why do we fight him or whatever? And his dad is just like, it's just the way it's always been.
I thought that was Baihan.
Was
that's?
I maybe I'm remembering it correctly.
Yeah, because that's the all black get up boys.
Yes, my mistake. Yeah, when Baihan's asking his daddy like why, and his dad's just like, it's just the way it's always been.
It's been like that since when your grandpa was a kid.
Yeah. For just forever. And then he says this thing where he's like, look, when you're older, you'll understand, right? And I was like, oh, Jesus. So like we're so far into this that this is just like generational, like learned and taught hatred. They don't even fucking know what they're fighting about anymore. They just don't fucking like each other. It is so past the point of there being a cause and effect that it's just effect. Like it's just this is what it is because it is what it is. Because it is what it is. Right. And but that whole line of like, you'll understand when you're my age, it's like, oh, once you've grown up, spent this many years in a tribe that is just spending all of their time hating these other people, you're going to totally get it. Like, bad parenting, bad everything, honestly. Like, I like that Bihan was like, I'm going to put a stop to it. Like, this doesn't make sense to me still. Like Bihan like got out of his small village and like went to college with a bunch of people who weren't just like him, you know.
Bihan became a leftist at university.
He got a perspective on the world and was like, this is really fucking pointless, but I got to go back and like run my dad's car dealership or whatever. But I've learned something along the way, you know. Yeah. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
An interesting statement on generational hatred in general, I guess.
Okay, Mortal Kombat Legacy is so interesting because just like I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking about what I said earlier, where I'm like, surface level, I could watch this and I'm fine, but you dig into it at all and it completely falls apart, and it's just like it's frustrating because, you know, if you presented a show that like looked like this and to an extent functioned like this, I don't mean in terms of length of format, but I mean like is sort of like vignette-y and episodic, but perhaps was more linearly structured in a grander way, with actors that I like and roles that I know and remixes to expected outcomes, I would just be in. Like, I just want that. But this just isn't that, and it never manages to get there, and it's driving me crazy.
Because it's just so close to like...
But it's so far at the same time. Like, it's like...
That's similar, I think, to my feelings about Mortal Kombat 2021, where I was like, there's cool stuff in here that I should like, but I'm missing. Something's missing, right? It's just not landing for me.
Yeah.
You know? That's why, I get it. I get the frustration.
Kevin Tangerowen lined up to kick a game-winning field goal, and then when the ball was snapped, he grabbed it in his hands and threw it the opposite way down the field as far as he could throw it.
And then said, "You go get it."
Sorry, Kevin.
Yeah, what was interesting is that when I first watched these episodes, I wasn't like, I watched them twice today. I watched it once just freestyle and then once to take notes.
Yeah.
And because it takes no time to watch these, right? So the first time I watched it, I was like, yeah, it was all right, I guess. I don't know. But the second time I watched it and started taking notes, I started liking it more because I started digging into it in different ways.
And it's conceptually interesting, like we've said. It's just
yeah. Just doesn't stick the landing all the time. So I have another note here that says the Scorpion costume is extremely good. The Sub-Zero costume is not.
The Scorpion costume is very similar to the Scorpion costume that we've already talked about.
Yeah.
So
different face mask.
So I'm gonna be negative first.
Sure.
Why does it look like they bought? I'm gonna make this an American reference. I know we have a lot more American listeners, so I'm tailoring this to you. Why does it look like they bought the Sub-Zero outfit at Dick's Sporting Goods?
I know, it's so fucking weird because. And I think it fails on two levels because, like what you were saying about being confused about the location of the fight and almost thinking it was that same field because it was so similar. If Sub-Zero were in any other outfit other than this like weird tactical scuba suit,
he's like it's like James Bond swam into into Fight Island.
Swam into a paintball game.
Yeah, it's like tactical James Bond swam into like your local airsoft gun range.
It's bad, and they had a pretty good. We didn't get a great look at it in the season 1, but they had a version of a Sub-Zero outfit that worked for the world, right?
Yeah,
it was a lot more like it was white and blue. Blend in with the snow, all of that kind of stuff. It was very cool. Why couldn't they have gone that direction for this? Why they have to like strap them into like special forces tack gear like everybody else, including Johnny Cage, who's just in motocross gear, right?
Yeah, he's just wearing Alpine Stars everything.
Yeah.
Oh, I hadn't remembered that.
But if they had given him a more traditional, less store-bought looking, less fucking tactical outfit, you could take this 2 episodes in a vacuum because they don't touch any of the other characters on the island. And I think it would have stood really well on its own. If you paired it with the part 1 and 2 and then this and just completely forgot about the Fight Island shadow over all of this stuff, I think it would have been stronger, but you can't ignore it because him dressed like fucking 2013 extreme sports guy just takes you out of, just makes you think, oh, we're obviously in some weird present day nonsense, right?
Yeah.
And it just looks bad. It just looks bad, especially next to that Scorpion costume.
The Scorpion costume is really good, and also just juxtaposing it with like the historic setting of everything up to that point, and then it looking so like modern is also kind of off-putting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it takes you out of it. Yeah, but that fight though, what'd you think of that fight?
It was pretty cool.
You could tell they saved some fucking money for this fight.
Yeah.
Right. Like they really went into it. I mean, all the Scorpion teleporting effects were done really, really well. You know, the fire and everything.
Yeah.
We saw the kunai get used in like different ways. We see it like fly across the screen. We see it like hit a foot and then drag him in. The ice ball looks infinitely better than it did in season 1. Even though it misses, he totally fucking whiffs with it still, right? But it looks good. Like the fight was really, I think, well done. Sub-Zero does his like slide move. That was cool. Like classic.
He does. I thought this. I did not take many notes, but when I did, one of them does just say the slide. That's all it says.
And then we get to the end of the fucking fight, the end of the whole thing, and it is Hanzo wins, right?
Fatality.
A little bit of trivia. I'm sure you know this. I'm sure everybody listening knows this. I'm going to say it anyway. Hanzo performs Sub-Zero's fatality from Mortal Kombat 1.
Yes.
On him. Yeah.
It's called BM.
Rips his head off, spine intact, and just raises it up into the air. Something you might not know, Corey, and other people may not know, because not everybody played this game, is if you play Mortal Kombat Mythology's Sub-Zero, at the end of the first level where you're infiltrating the Shaolin Temple to steal a map, you confront Scorpion, who's also there trying to steal the map. And when you beat him, if you input the fatality command, you will rip his head off. And that will change the way the game plays from there on out. You will then later encounter him when you're imprisoned in Outworld or in the Netherrealm, and he's in like full on Scorpion mode, right?
Yeah.
So that was like the original like event of Bihan killing Hanzo Hasashi that turned him into this like fiery, Hellwraith. You can play that moment in the game.
That's cool.
So I did think that was a pretty sweet reference to that and to the way that this story has changed.
Yeah.
And the story of Sub-Zero and Scorpion have changed like throughout all of the different reinventions and reboots and everything in the series. I just thought it was a nice touch.
Mythologies.
I think it's cool. I noticed it right away too, and I was like, "Hey."
Yeah.
And look, and as you know, dear listener, I don't always play the video game, so this is a big deal for me.
And it looks good too. Like the effects were impressive.
Yeah, it was cool.
I don't think I have any more specific notes about this two-parter.
I don't either.
I am interested in what you think. How does this rank with the rest of what we've seen in Legacy 2 specifically?
Ironically, considering how I probably sounded throughout a lot of this, it might be the best.
I think so too.
It might not sound like it, but I think it is.
Right.
But I also think that's because everything else has been so much more frustrating at times, whereas this I feel like I understand its intentions a lot more. Whereas my biggest problem with Legacy this entire time is seeing what the intent or what the result is, and being like, first of all, why would you want to do this? And B, why did you do it this way? And I still feel that way about, I mean, go listen to the other episodes. I did not have like super kind things to say about the Kung Lao opening stuff. I did not have super kind things to say about so I think like this is the most cohesive image I feel like we've gotten so far, but it just falls into the same traps as everything else.
I think this is the strongest of the Legacy 2 stuff we've watched so far also. I think all the stuff we said about the season 1 Scorpion and Sub-Zero stuff holds true here. This is probably the storyline that Kevin Tancharoen was most interested in.
Yeah, it
has to be. Like, And these were, I just also want to reaffirm that these were coming along before we got Mortal Kombat 21 and Scorpion's Revenge. So like this was like, I mean, he was doing it first, right? And we've seen the story repeated several times since then in other movies, but like this was the first one because this was not a part of the OG movies at all, or Conquest or any of that stuff, right?
Right. I guess, yeah, remembering that like the context in which we're seeing it is as important as the context in which it was made.
Yeah, I think and I still think it's one of the strongest versions of that story. Like, I think it made, as much as I love Scorpion's Revenge, they really just turned Scorpion over the course of those two movies into just like a good guy, right? And I liked it in this. We're seeing this honorable man who was just so consumed by vengeance and rage and manipulated into being the sort of chaotic, bad dude we know from the early games, right? I like that presentation of Scorpion more, as opposed to like the kind of emo version we've been getting.
Yeah.
Right. And I like this version of Sub-Zero. It adds, I think it adds a lot to the character versus him just being like, no, I'm just like a really fucking good assassin and I kill people and stuff, right? Like they gave Bai-Han, whatever. I've flip-flopped back and forth the entire episode. They give Bai-Han like a personality that I don't think we really got from him in any of those early games, because like even in Mortal Kombat 9, when they went to a more narrative type of storytelling, he got killed off like right away in Mortal Kombat 9, and then he's back as Noob Saibot, and he's just like evil and sinister like Scorpion used to be,
Yeah.
So I like what Kevin has added to this character. I like this version of the character. I think it's pretty successful. I bet there's a way to edit the part 1 and 2 from season 1 and these two.
You could make a great short out of it.
To make a really great short out of it, rearrange a few scenes, spread a few things around. I think that you could get something really cool.
Yeah, if you made it better, it'd be great.
I
sorry, that's a shitty comment to make. I'm sorry.
That is kind of a shitty comment. Again,
I was making a joke, but like I don't want. I hate being as down on this as I am. Even though I said at the beginning of all this, I didn't think I was going to like it, and that's mostly been playing itself out.
Right. But let's also keep in mind that like Kevin made those first 2 episodes, which we both really loved, not really knowing if he was going to get to make any more after that first season.
Yeah.
So then he has to find a way to tie these into those and tie everything together and shoehorn a tournament in, because everyone expects there to be a tournament. I don't put that on him, I feel like these episodes had a bit of an uphill battle.
Yeah, they were fighting against the season of the thing in which they exist.
But I think overall I really liked these. These are my favorites so far also.
So he's 2 for 2 on that front.
And I said this last time, Scorpion and Sub-Zero aren't even my favorite characters. They're not even my favorite characters, but I am enjoying the way...
They're not Taven.
No. God, could you imagine if he did a Taven
episode?
My
God. Taven would just be in... he'd be a Linkin Park roadie. Like...
he'd be in... Was it Dakota? I think it was Dakota said to me that like Taven would be in Edema.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, it's all right. That one's for you, Dakota.
you know.
Edema is a band that I think is fronted by the younger brother of the lead singer of Korn.
Edema, isn't that what John Travolta said when he got that name wrong at the Oscars?
Yeah, he gave the Oscar. Funnily enough, they had to honor it, and the band Edema now has an Oscar.
Oh, really? That's cool. That's pretty sick.
All they ever wanted was a Grammy.
The wickedly talented Adele Dazeem.
Are you laughing at the Adele Dazeem thing? Like, that was like 8 years ago,
look,
dude.
in my defense, it comes up on another podcast that I like called Dynamic Banter sometimes, and I've been hearing about it pretty consistently since it happened, and every time I hear it, I'm reminded all over again. I'm also not hearing him say it. I'm hearing like somebody else say it in my head in an even more exaggerated way.
Gotcha.
In my defense, because I didn't think it was that funny when it happened, but now I think it's hilarious.
Well, all right.
I've got layers, Needle. It's Static Electricity Day.
Careful, you might
don't wear too many layers, or you
might start a fire in the winter. Apparently,
we didn't start fire. It was the static electricity. It is the winter. Okay, I think we're out of gas.
Yeah, I'm ready to get out of here.
Let's kick our jets and jam. Remember that?
My neck's a little sore. I might need to go see a chiropractor, see if they can just like yank this spine out.
Damn. Well, I didn't think you didn't like the show that much.
Next week, we're going to talk about the final 2 episodes of Legacy. More Kung Lao and Liu Kang being rascals stuff. And we'll finally get to see Stryker do something. I know everybody's excited about that.
Mark Dacascos is Mark Dabaskos.
And Corey, I think we should tell everybody now, we're going to plan to do that one as a live commentary.
With discussion afterwards. So if you have no desire to hear us commentate it, you can just skip to the part where we don't. However,
it's going to take about 12 minutes.
However, if you do have interest in hearing us commentate it, good news.
Yeah, we're going to figure that out. And then after that, we have to do a little, maybe a little Mythologies episode on the canceled 3rd web series, the Mortal Kombat 10 one.
There's a 3rd web series?
And the leaked footage from that. It was never released.
Oh, wait, I think I've seen this footage maybe. Did you send me this?
Yeah, I did a while ago.
Okay, yeah.
Completed and never released. We're going to have a little discussion about that just to put a bow on this chapter of Mortal Kombat. Then it's on to taking a little stroll back to Zhuzhen.
Be still my heart.
I'm genuinely can't wait, honestly.
And also a trip back to Zhuzhen, and also everywhere else.
And all over the fucking place. Yeah. But yeah, let's kick our jets and jam. Corey, what else you got going on?
I do another podcast. I don't know if you knew about this. It's called They Made Another One. We talk about sequels and reboots and remakes and whatnot. If you want to kick off your year with the first episode that we put up this year, we have an interview episode with the writer-director of Beyond Skyline and Skylines, Liam O'Donnell. It's very good in my opinion.
It is.
I think everybody should listen to it. And
you should.
We also have an episode coming up, the most recent episode, if my math is right. Oh boy, I actually don't know what the most recent episode will be yet. Because I had my scheduling off by a week, and it's going to be a mystery pick. But we also have an episode up about the movie Sorcerer, which is sort of a remake of The Wages of Fear. And that is at They Made Another on Twitter, and They Made Another one everywhere else on the internet. And I'm at Mr. Corey Price on Twitter. I can't believe I have my schedule so off.
Real quick, if you guys need more incentive to go listen to that They Made Another One episode where Corey interviews Liam O'Donnell, director of Skylines. Daniel Bernhardt is in that movie.
Boy, is he.
So there you go. Okay. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. Fuck. Out of practice. You can find me
in the Merriam-Webster dictionary under idiot because I keep getting this wrong.
Fuck you, dude. Fuck it. Just find me on Instagram at FinalNeilRetro. Follow me on Good Pods at FinalNeil. Subscribe to the podcast in your podcast app. Rate us 5 stars. Leave us nice reviews. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Calling it now, as of at least this episode, but I think the episode prior to this one, YouTube video versions will be released the same day as the audio versions. Same time and everything. I'm getting on top of that shit. I'm not falling behind again. So subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can find links to all of the podcast players, our merch store, our YouTube channel, everywhere on our website.
Buy a clock.
mkpodquest.com. Buy a clock so you'll always know when it's combat time. Send in voice messages on your thoughts on Mortal Kombat Legacy. Might play some of those on the finale if we get a few. You got some time. And yeah, if you want to send us an email, theboys@mkpodquest.com. And we will be back next week to talk about the Legacy Season 2 final 2 episodes.
We will see what legacy this show leaves next week.